Hey, Nicky, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me.
Sure.
I'm just gonna get right into it. Basically, I've been listening to house music for a long time, and I feel like I've been coming across Nicky Romero tracks for a long time as well. But what I want to touch base on, which I think a lot of people don't know, is that you're only 22 years old.
I just gained 22 last month.
Happy birthday, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do me a favor, get it a little bit into, your background, where you're from, how long you've been producing, and how did you even get into house music?
All right. Well, basically, I started with house music because I was playing several instruments. I played drums for a few years, and I played the piano, and I started to learn a little guitar. So after a while, I was like, hey, I can do more of this, and I really up for some music producing. So I just started to buy a computer and using Fruity Loops. So after that, I got bored really quick. So I decided to change it for Cubase, and which worked out very well for me. And I did my first tracks in Cubase. One of my first tracks, I got released in the end of 2008. So which means I'm now producing for 2.5 years probably. And I just started out because everything went pretty fast. I was like producing my first beats, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and I want to learn more, and how to do some mastering. So you just kind of grow in the process, and I don't know.
It's awesome.
Like exploded.
And it's just awesome that you got into it so young and are so successful at it so young. What are you actually using now to produce? You said you went up to Cubase. Is that still your main, your main DAW that you're using?
No, I changed Cubase already for Logic like a year ago, because there was one of my friends used Logic Pro, and so I started using Logic, and I bought a Mac Pro, and now I'm working with Logic and UA. It's called Universal Audio. It's like a plugin set with a PCI card for the mastering, and I work with some external synths, and that's basically it. So Logic Pro is a job for me now, and I've been using it for a year now, and I get everything under control now. I know how everything works, and I can work pretty fast. If I want to, I can finish the track within a day using Logic. And when I make a bootleg, sometimes I just finish the track within 4 hours. So everything went pretty fast, and I'm getting used to it pretty fast. So
I'm assuming you got into producing before DJing, correct?
No. I started DJing first. But,
you did? Okay.
It was in a very small bar, and I played all kind of music all around. And, I started, actually, if I'm really honest with you, I started with bringing the glasses, and cleaning up everywhere. And sweeping the floor. So, that's what I basically started with. But I never got the chance to play some tunes because the rest of the DJs didn't want me to. But after a while, I just started, in secret, and, it worked out pretty well. And then I started producing, so it was a kind of luck that everything came together within 1 year.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man, I must say. If you could only pick one, and you could never do the other one again, meaning DJing or producing, which one would you pick? Producing or DJing?
Oh man, that's that's a really hard question. I think if I had to choose, I would rather choose not to play, because I'm producing. That's really hard for me, because if you play your tunes, you know how the reaction is, and you know what to produce. So
I agree.
If you don't play, you don't know what works. So it would really be kind of impossible to produce good tracks if you don't know how they work on the dance floor. So I prefer saying you can do without the other. Actually, for me, I wouldn't be able to produce this good as I'm doing now, as long as I produce good, of course. But I would be able to produce the way I do now without playing the tunes myself. So it's a really hard question. But if I had to choose, and someone would put a gun on my face and say, you're going to say it now, then I would probably say, do not play again, I think.
Interesting. I was actually yesterday, when I was looking up some stuff and doing some research on you, I was listening to a bunch of your tracks. The Rock and High remix, which I love. The Flash remix, which I absolutely love. A couple of your originals, the Solar. Actually, you just did a remix with Kelly Rowland and Alex Godino. I was listening to a lot of them, and a lot of them have like this style. It's like it's hard to put into a category almost. If you had to describe your style, what would you put it into, or how would you describe it or categorize it?
I think if I had to categorize it, because I prefer not putting it in a box, because I'm not producing in a box. Sometimes I produce this, sometimes I produce that. So if I had to make a category, I would probably say I think it's a kind of progressive house with, you know, a groovy flavor. That's something I think that would be the best way to say it, because it keeps its grooving, but it still has some progressive instruments. So, yeah, I would say with a lot of energy, a mix between groovy stuff and the more progressive stuff, definitely.
You're right. Creates a great vibe.
Yeah.
Like I said, you did some remix with Fed LeGrand. You had a David Guetta bootleg that was huge. And I was reading some other interviews you did after Miami. And in Miami, the Flash track was literally every DJ that I saw put it in their set. I even saw, like, it's such a not quintessential Tiesto track. He even played at Ultra on Friday when I was there. So, I mean, it was huge in Miami, which is awesome. You know, tell me a little bit more about how that came about. How did you get in touch with Green Velvet? How did that come about?
That's pretty funny because, you know, suddenly I just opened my mailbox and there was a mail from a message from Green Velvet. It was asking me, could you do a remix of my track Flash? It's like an old classic one. So I listened to the original. I was like, wow, what am I gonna do with it? It's just drums, a kind of drum, a kick drum, and some dry vocals. So what do you want me to do with it? And he was like, yeah, you just try it, and you know, just check out if it works or not. So I said, all right. So I just did the remix, and it took me very long to make it because I started like 4 sketches, and you know, every sketch was just the thing I wanted to have. So basically, after a few tries, I called my remix manager and I said, hey, I'm not sure if I can do this one because I'm not feeling it, you know. So he was like, just keep it basic and try to do your best. You know, you can do more than your best. So just try one more thing, and if it works, then you know you can cancel it. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it one more time, and you know, actually I found out the drums. I was like the snares. I thought, yeah, that would be good enough to fill the track. So I did it with the drums, but I still wasn't really convinced about the remix. But yeah, after it released, everybody picked it up. Axel was putting it in his chart, and Dirty South is playing it, Sweater's House Club, yeah, but also Chesto, Calvin Harris, even Carl Fuchs. Everybody plays it, so all kind of genre DJs is playing it, so that's an honor.
Yeah, man. Congratulations, dude. It really is a huge track. It's definitely big right now. Yeah, I actually read too. You just mentioned that it's funny how you could produce a track you're like so about it, but it winds up being huge. I actually just, when I went to Miami, I did an interview with Max Vangeli and Thomas Gold, and I asked them, and it's kind of my thing that I've been doing in a lot of my interviews, because being from the U.S., it always makes me curious how big the house music scene has gotten here in the past couple years. You know, so I'm always curious to know how you guys, who get to see all these house music scenes all over the world, how you've seen the U.S. progress. You know, have you seen it in your shows, and really, what do you think about it?
Yeah, well, the U.S. is definitely getting into it, and it works out pretty well. All tracks are really doing well in the U.S., so that's a good thing. And I'm starting my first tour, my big tour in June, so I can't say too much yet because also was just like amazing, you know, everything worked out pretty well. So, but I hear definitely a lot of things about America that's doing really good now, and the scene is getting really big and interesting for the crowd, but also for the DJs. So yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah. And the last thing, Nicky, what can we expect from you in the future? You know, in the next year or so, you got any tracks you work with? Anybody special you're working with? Any big shows coming up?
Yeah. Well, I just did my Australian tour, which was really amazing. Australia's a really great country to play in. And I got a remix for David Guetta coming up for a track called Where Them Girls At. It's a single for his new album. I did a remix for it, and we probably can expect some more work together with David Guetta. I'm not sure I can say too much about it yet. But there are some tracks coming up with Bingo Players, Fed LeGrand. I got a single with Mitch Crown, which follows a video clip with it as well. And I'm playing at Pasha Ibiza this year. I'm famous together with David Guetta for a couple of times. And I'm doing a tour in the States in June. And I'm playing at every single big festival in Holland and Belgium and France this year. So I'm really happy with what the future brings me now. So yeah, we'll be quite busy for the coming time.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I look forward to hearing some more tracks from you, man. You're definitely doing some big things. Nicky, I really appreciate you taking out the time. I know you're a busy man, and
thanks for having me.